Pascal Siakam is off to the best start of his career. Fred VanVleet is playing incredibly off the ball. Scottie Barnes looks like he's leveled up as a talent. OG Anunoby's defense has been suffocating, and yet the Raptors find themselves 1-2 on the season, 0-2 on this road trip after tough losses against Brooklyn and Miami, in which the team looks disorganized and somewhat discombobulated. There's a lot of players struggling, and the sky is officially falling if you're a Raptor fan on Twitter. We're seeing posts about trade OG, trade Gary, trade Precious, Coloco's overrated, Delano Banton should be out of the league. There's a lot of overreactions happening right now. Let's calm down. Let's have a rational discussion about what is actually happening with the Raptors offense right now, what's happening with their defense, and what I think they can do to improve their results going forward. If you're new around here, my name is Robert. This is Pensari Basketball. If you like thoughtful, engaging, sometimes contrarian basketball content, make sure to hit subscribe. And of course, as always, grab your coffee and let's get to it. So the numbers have not looked great for the Raptors across the first 3 games. Apart from Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, and Scottie Barnes, every single Raptor is negative across the board in terms of box plus minus. And look, it's worrying. Of course, 3 games in, you would expect that a team with so much continuity from last year would be off to a better start. But I think that there's some encouraging signs as well. So first, let's dig into some of the negative stuff. 22nd in field goal percentage, 20th in true shooting percentage, 24th in free throw percentage, 27th in rebounds, 21st in assists, and quite frankly, the most disturbing number of all of these numbers for me is 28th in pace. You do not expect that from a team that's as young as the Raptors with so many rookies and second year, third year players to be playing this slow. Again, context. Look at the Utah Jazz, one of the younger teams in the NBA. Look at how fast they're playing. This tends to be the trend that the younger the team, the faster the pace. That's not been the case for the Raptors offense so far. For a team that prides itself on being a defensive juggernaut, 17th in defensive rating is just not going to cut it. There are some positives for the Raptors so far as well. They've been first in the NBA in cutting down turnovers. I think a lot of the credit there should go to Fred VanVleet for being just so error-free the basketball so far this season. They're third in steals. Obviously, I think a lot of the credit there also should go to Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby and Scottie Barnes for being so pesky on the ball. They're also 7th in the league in free throw attempts per 100. Unfortunately for the Raptors, they're just not making their free throws, but they are getting to the line, and that does mean they're being aggressive. So those are all good signs. In terms of who do you blame for the Raptors' woes so far, honestly, you can pick your poison across the board. Apart from Scottie Barnes, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam, every single Raptor who has played has struggled. Thaddeus Young and Juancho Hernan-Gomez have really struggled. Christian Coloco has been bottom 10 player in the league bad, and this is coming from someone who's pretty much driving the bandwagon on this guy, and I still believe by the end of the year he's going to be a really good player for this team. But apart from some flashes of some nice blocks and, some nice rim contests, a negative 12.7 box plus minus, 2.2 PER, 29% true shooting, Christian Coloco's statistical profile has looked really bad. In terms of rotation players coming back from last year, key rotation players for the Raptors like Precious Achiuwa, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby have really struggled. OG and Gary had a really decent first game, but the last 2 games have looked really bad. There have been some really sour notes on offense where, we're seeing OG just missing passes and dribbling the ball in the wrong direction, losing balance. It's all the same stuff all over again. It's looked really ugly. True shooting percentage for all these players looks really bad. Delano Banton has not looked impressive. He looked really good in preseason, but in the regular season, it has not looked great. So what is going wrong for the Raptors offense? Because obviously most Raptor fans seem to be very committed to the idea that whatever is happening for the Raptors on the court, Pascal Siakam, Scottie Barnes, and Fred VanVleet are the good guys, and everyone else is just lagging behind. And I just want to say that this is a very primitive way to look at a team sport like basketball. It is impossible to look at the impact of one player without understanding how that player is impacting the other 9 guys on the court. Obviously, if you have a favorable schedule to start the season, you're playing really bad teams, you could be on pace for a historic, 160 offensive rating. That doesn't mean you're the 98 Bulls. It doesn't mean you're the 2016 Warriors, right? Now, obviously, if you are just looking at box scores, you're going to blame all the role players for the Raptors' struggle so far. You're going to say OG needs to hit more shots, Gary Trent Jr. needs to be more efficient, Christian Koloko needs to hit more shots at the rim, so on and so on. Thaddeus Young needs to pick up the pace. But I don't think that this is the right way to approach basketball analysis. Frankly, it is impossible for role players to get their game off if the system in which they're playing is so stagnant. And the Raptors offense so far is very stagnant and extremely predictable. It's also very slow. I do think that Otto Porter Jr. coming back is going to add one more really positive decision maker. And I think that if you're a Raptor fan, you just need to be a little bit patient, because everything that Nick Nurse, Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, Fred VanVleet have said in the preseason alludes to the fact that this is a team that is looking to peak later in the season, not now. You do not win playoff games in October and November, you win them later on. So yes, right now the Raptors are going to suffer a few losses because they're going to roll through, the mistakes with Delano Banton and Precious Achiuwa doing more creation than he probably should be, and Christian Koloko playing more minutes than he should be. And maybe at some point we'll see Justin Champagnie enter the rotation and people are going to be saying, well, Kem Birch should be playing over him. I think that, quite frankly, this team is missing two of their 6 or 7 best players in Chris Boucher and Otto Porter. I have my issues with Chris Boucher's decision making, but one thing I cannot deny is that he impacts winning on the box score and in the analytics in a really big way. Otto Porter, I'm already very clear that I think he's one of the 5 best players on this team, and when he comes back, that second unit is going to be totally stabilized. Frankly, the Raptors just have really poor spacing right now. Their offense is very stagnant, it's very predictable, it's very slow, and I think that it's impossible to look at role players and say, well, this person is shooting really poorly, and not understand why they're shooting poorly because of the offense that they're playing in. You could put Delano Banton on the Golden State Warriors right now, and I guarantee you he would be thriving. Precious Achiuwa in a different team might be thriving. This is a systemic problem. It will require systemic solutions, and obviously the system changes based on who's in it. The Raptors offense right now is very egalitarian, it's very free-flowing. That means a lot of players are having to make decisions on the fly. This is not like Luka Ball with the Dallas Mavericks, where one guy who's got generational vision and generational basketball IQ is making a lot of decisions. No, everyone's making decisions. OG is having to make decisions in the full court. Maybe he's not great at that right now. Precious Achiuwa is having to make decisions. He's not great at that. Gary Trent Jr., he's not great at that. I don't think Pascal Siakam is a great decision maker either. For all of his greatness so far this year, statistically, he's looking really good. I mean, he's 22nd in box plus minus, 49th in win shares per 48, 18th in usage, 14th in PER. He's looked really decent. This is the best start of his career, and this is not a small sample size. You can actually trace what Pascal Siakam is doing right now back to the last 20 games of last season as well. He was pretty much doing the same thing. So this is now 23, 24 game sample size of this is the new Siakam. You can expect 24, 25 points per game, really good efficiency, and maybe like 7, 8 rebounds, 7, 8 assists. That's a really good player. That's probably a top 20-ish player in the NBA. But can he make as many decisions per game as Luka Doncic or Nikola Jokic and not strangle your offense? I don't think so. So I think that the Raptors will be better when Scottie Barnes hopefully comes back from the injury, and he will be more of a decider within this offense, more of a facilitator, game manager. I think he's deeply unselfish, and I think that the Raptors offense will be a little bit faster with him pushing it up. I think that Otto Porter is going to make a really big difference. I think that these younger players hopefully latching on to some of the concepts is going to make a difference. And again, we've seen it over and over. The Nick Nurse teams don't usually get off to the hottest starts, right? We saw it last year as well. This is a team that peaked later in the season, and I think we're going to see that again. So if you're a Raptor fan, hold on, relax, keep your fingers crossed that Scottie Barnes' injury is not that serious, and hopefully he'll be back in 3-4 games. And look, I just think that this is a team that at some point this year we're going to be talking about as a top 6, top 7 team in the league. They don't look like it right now. There's a lot of signs that you should be encouraged, and I don't think that OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, Delano Banton, Gary Trent, I don't think these guys are going to continue playing this badly. I think they'll get better as the system calms down a little bit, as roles settle. I think these players are going to have much better seasons than they look like they're going to have right now. So let me know in the comments below, who do you think is to blame for the Raptors' woes so far? Is it Nick Nurse's offense? Is it too much freedom being given to players who have very low basketball IQ? Is it too many, Scottie ISOs? Is it the poor spacing? Is it too much Pascal pound basketball? Is it Fred VanVleet not being assertive enough? Look, I think that the Raptors will be fine. I think after 20 games, we're going to be talking about a 500 team. Hopefully, going into the playoffs, we're going to be talking about a sneaky contender and a very tough first round out for somebody and a first round opponent for somebody. And realistically, look, when you play this many young players, you're going to have a lot of issues when the offense is this free and you're asking people to make so many decisions who aren't used to making decisions. This is a compromise that you make as a team that's wishing to develop young players, and I've always appreciated the fact that the Raptors can develop while winning. I do think that when Otto Porter and Chris Boucher come back, that a lot of these woes are going to go away. They are older players, they are obviously more experienced, and hopefully will be a bit of a talent upgrade and an impact upgrade over the players who are currently playing for them right now. I do think Thaddeus Young and Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet are going to be peaking a little bit later in the year, so I think that'll help too. And obviously, we saw it last year with Scottie Barnes. He's just going to get better throughout the year, so hopefully by the end of the year, we're talking about an even better player than we're talking about right now, because I think the early returns on Scottie have been promising. So if you are new around here, hit subscribe. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. We did cross 3,000 subscribers. Let's get us to 5,000 by the year's end, and hopefully let's get that next win against Miami. And someone please do something about Caleb Martin. That guy is really annoying. Thanks a lot for checking this out. Peace.